You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Come On Man. If you haven't done so already, please like, fave, subscribe, hit those notifications. If you are listening on your favorite audio platform of choice, like iTunes, give us a 5-star review and actually take some time to write about why you like the podcast in the review. It helps more than you know. And if you are watching on YouTube, leave a comment. It could even just be, hey, Paul, I'm leaving a comment to help you with the algorithm. Something like that. It doesn't matter. All right. Joining me this week was an interesting guest. His name is Blake Harris. He's an attorney. He specializes in offshore trusts, as well as estate planning and asset protection. So I've had an attorney on before, and that was you go back and look, right? But my friend came on. He's an attorney, and he talks about prenups and just get a prenup. I kind of feel like he softballs some of my questions, and I found out about Blake because Blake reached out to me on Instagram, and I started following Blake on TikTok. He has a pretty substantial following, and he starts talking about how you can protect your money with offshore trusts. So I went back to my friend, Matt Sandifer, my attorney friend, Matt Sandifer, and said, hey man, how come you never told me about offshore trusts? He goes, well, you didn't ask. Killing me, Matt. Anyway, this episode, we learn about protecting our assets with offshore trusts. And we talk about a few other things, including Blake's dating life. I think he doesn't quite understand what red pill means. So when we start talking about red pill stuff, just take that topic with a grain of salt in this episode. But otherwise, it was a very good conversation. And I will bring you that right after this. If you guys are anything like me, you're tired of going to grocery stores, buying grooming products that are designed for men, but they just suck. Or they smell girly. I also hate going to expensive department stores like Macy's and getting cologne that makes me smell like a little bitch. I want to smell like a fucking man. And I think most women want their men to smell manly as well. And that's why I've partnered with Duke Cannon. Duke Cannon has products for men. They have products that make you smell manly as hell. They have big ass bars of soap. They have really thick body wash. They have beard oil and beard balm, hair care products. My favorite is their big ass bar of soap. Smells like naval supremacy. It is awesome. And I also buy all of their liquid cologne. It really makes you smell manly, and they have tons of different fragrances. In fact, I have some for each day of the week. Also, when you purchase from Duke Cannon, some of your purchase goes to help out veterans. And if you use duke.comeonmanpod.com, link is in the description, you get free shipping. Win-win. This stuff smells so goddamn good, and the ladies love it. Trust me. Again, that's duke.comeonmanpod.com. The link is in the show notes. All right, joining me this week is a man with a substantial following on TikTok. His primary niche is talking about Cook Islands trusts, estate planning, asset protection, and other random stuff. As an attorney, which can be super valuable information for some of you guys out there, his name is Blake Harris, owner of Blake Harris Law. What's going on, brother?
Paul, good to be on the show. I've been following your TikToks for a while, and just being down here in South Beach, a little dating advice never hurts. And so I've become a big fan of yours, and I was honored that you agreed to let me come on your show. So looking forward to hopefully some fun time here.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good episode. I did my homework last night, and I went through our chat on Instagram to sort of come up with some talking points. I think listeners are going to get a lot of value out of this episode. So now we're going to get into Cook Island Trust in a little bit, but the first time you reached out to me was on Instagram, and you asked if providing an Uber ride to the date is a simp move or a gentleman move. And honestly, I hadn't seen any of your videos on TikTok, and your Instagram account is just some like you don't have any following really on that one.
Okay, so I have my Blake Harris Law Instagram, which is the work one where I keep it a little bit more professional, and then I have my private one, which I use more for dating or fun.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So I mean, just to be transparent, like you reached out to me on that one, and I just thought you were just a random guy that follows the videos and was asking a question. So I was like, oh, this is my viewpoint on that. And then I saw on TikTok you made a video and you tagged me in it. And so I stitched it, but I didn't realize you had such a big following on TikTok at that time. I was like, oh, yeah. Jesus Christ, he's got like 250, almost 300,000 followers right now.
Yep, got on TikTok about a year ago, and TikTok blew me up pretty quickly. My niche, there's not a lot of competition in it. There's a lot of people dancing or whatever on TikTok, but I'm the only one who's really like pounding the offshore trust real hard. So I think the algorithm likes someone with a new area and some information and presenting it in what I think can be a fun way. Sometimes the algorithm rewarded me for. So yeah, I've been on TikTok about a year. It's brought me a lot of clients. I've gotten to be on a few podcasts and learn a lot from it as well. So it's been a fun journey. Yeah,
my first TikTok account got banned last year because it was I had built it up, I think in about a 4-month period to about 30,000 followers, and then but a lot of my stuff was a little bit more edgier back then, and so I was getting a lot of like content violations, and so
if you're not occasionally getting censored by big tech, you're not speaking the truth. So kudos to that.
Which it's like, I respect that sort of concept, but at the same time, it's hard as hell to build a following on, and so trying to rebuild myself, I've gotten back up to 20,000 followers. I'm still not quite where I was back in June. And then they keep changing the algorithm. So it's even harder now to get a following. It's harder now than it was a year ago.
For sure. Yeah. It's getting harder, where I blew up real quick and then I slowed down for a while, and then they started picking me up a little bit more again lately. So I don't know. I mean, just when I started TikTok, I said, I'm going to do this for 2 reasons. One, sure, I'd love to find some more clients, but also I think it's going to be a little bit of fun. And as long as I'm having fun doing it, I don't really care. I mean, sure, I want more followers. Sure, I want more influence. But as long as you're enjoying what you're doing, who cares if anyone's watching?
Yeah. Well, I specifically signed up so that I could push people to the podcast. So it's all marketing for me. So if I get kicked off the platform, I'm like, damn it, like this is my whole marketing strategy. So going back to that TikTok video on, whether it's a simp move to, provide an Uber ride to your date, or if it's a gentleman move, I noticed that in the comments on your video, there were a lot of guys that thought that it was the gentlemanly thing to do. And I got a chuckle out of that one. Is that the kind of reaction that you were expecting from people, or what?
So on my private Instagram account, I asked the question, and the females overwhelmingly said gentlemen. The men, I think, were a little bit more on the simp side. There's another, not to mention a competition, but there's another male dating coach kind of type out there who stitched the video and said, don't look at it like, and don't look at it like having women delivered. Think about it having food delivered.
Oh.
And on the same way, that same Uber can be used to take out the trash.
Oh yeah, that was Chuck. Yeah,
Chuck, exactly. From a humor perspective, I respected that. I mean, he's more the sugar daddy type, which isn't exactly what I'm isn't exactly my target market. But I like that perspective. I generally agree with you. A person ought to be able to get themselves to the date. I definitely believe. I'm one to always pay for the date, at least into pretty serious into the relationship. But you shouldn't be out there paying for a woman's babysitter or paying for. It's fine to spend money on a date, but appropriately so. But that being said, like I live in South Beach, downtown Miami's 25 minutes away, where a lot of the women I go on dates with, and Uber's gotten crazy expensive, and it can take them $60 to get here and then $60 to get back. And I understand them being hesitant about spending $120 just to meet up. And I should preface that with assuming that it is a first date and you met online. If it's a woman who feels safe with me already, sure, I'd be delighted to pick them up and show off that I know how to drive a car or have a car or whatever. But for a first date, if they can get them there themselves, I kind of respect that. But if they need an Uber ride, I don't know. I think sometimes doing it is acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of look at it like. It sort of comes across like bribes for sex sometimes, right? Like a lot of women look at it that way. It's like a covert contract, which is like a lot of nice guys do that, right? They're like, oh, I'm paying for this fantastic meal and I'm buying you flowers on this first date. Like I should get something from that. And a lot of women look at that like they see through it, right? And they go, I don't owe you shit, So I feel like if women are looking at it that way from the get-go, then you shouldn't offer that stuff up from the get-go. You know what I mean? Totally.
If a woman asks for it, I don't like it. But if I offer it, or I feel it's appropriate to offer it, then I don't mind it. But yeah, if it's demanded from me, then I'm not real excited about that.
Yeah. That makes sense. Let's talk about your business a little bit before we get into some of the other fun stuff that we could talk about. So you're the owner of Blake Harris Law in Miami. You specialize in asset protection, estate planning, probate, and crypto. Can you tell us a little bit about that, about your practice in general?
Very good. So I appreciate you doing a little bit of homework beforehand. So we're a trust law firm. So we set up structures to help our clients protect their assets. And really the sweet spot for me is doing the international trust most of the time in the Cook Islands. And the beauty of the Cook Islands Trust is it is more protective than any other structure out there available for protecting your assets from lawsuits, from divorce, from creditor claims. It is not a tool for dodging or evading taxes. That's a very common issue that I have to explain. It's not about avoiding paying the IRS, but it can be a great tool in avoiding paying lawsuits. And it is very effective at protecting liquid funds, so cash, stock, cryptocurrency. You put inside of a Cook Islands trust. If a lawsuit comes your way, your assets are protected. Generally, it takes about having about $1 million liquid for it really to be worthwhile. In certain cases, if there's a strong enough threat, maybe having a few $100,000, it'll make sense.
Got it. Okay. So I have a family attorney friend who's been on the show occasionally. And when I ask him if there are ways to hide assets or protect them in a divorce, I feel like he usually softballs his responses to that. And he usually defaults to, well, men just need to get a prenup. And so I always laugh at that because I have so many other friends like Chuck and I are actually friends. So, Chuck has been married a couple times and, he's like, I've had prenups and they get thrown out. Mm-hmm. So, why, how is it that, you made a video on this on TikTok, which I was just like, this is fascinating as hell. But why are specifically offshore or Cook Islands trusts so important in that regard as far as protecting your assets in a divorce?
So I'm going to step back and give a little bit more perspective before I get into the Cook Islands Trust.
Okay.
My philosophy on a prenup is it's a great idea, especially if you have children from a previous relationship. You want to account for what goes to your spouse, what goes to your children in the event of divorce or in the event of death. Most people want to leave something to their spouse, but they don't want their spouse to take everything and then leave it to the new children. I think prenups can be helpful for getting both people their mind to meet. If you don't have a prenup after you get married, you can sign a postnup. I'm also one who is a little bit of a romantic and say, if you actually feel like you need a prenup, maybe you just need a girlfriend. Maybe you shouldn't be getting married at all. A prenup, though, can be disregarded. And as Chuck and as other many probably spoken to can tell you, prenups are easy for judges to disregard. Whereas a Cook Islands trust is beyond the reach of the U.S. court system. The person controlling your money is in the Cook Islands, and by law, they are not allowed to honor the court orders of any other country. So somebody could get a $10 million judgment against you, Paul, but when it comes time for them to collect it, they're not going to be able to. The trustee is based in the Cook Islands, and then typically we'll have the client open up a Swiss bank account, or if it's crypto, just assign the crypto to the trust, and they would have to go to the Cook Islands, prove that it was done improperly, which getting anything done in the Cook Islands is extremely hard. There are no contingency fees. You have to hire a local Cook Islands attorney. You have to post a bond about $100,000. If somebody's suing you and they do get a $10 million judgment against you, and you have $1 million in a Swiss bank account that's owned by a Cook Islands trustee, they're going to probably talk settlement, and they'll probably be willing to walk away for $10,000 or $100,000 as opposed to trying to pound sand. And these have been time tested. The Cook Islands Trust has been around just about as long as I've been alive, over 30 years. The IRS has tried to get into Cook Islands Trust unsuccessfully. The world's strongest creditor. It's extremely hard to get into Cook Islands Trust, and it's much more effective than a prenup or a domestic trust or an LLC or a bunch of other asset protection strategies out there that are being pushed.
Yeah. I think in your video you said that, like, let's say alimony, right? Like you're told that you have to pay your wife or settlement amount or whatever. And you said, well, in order to comply with US law, I will direct my client to request that money be brought back on shore or something, right? And so then the client can go to the Cook Islands Trust and say, okay, I need to bring my money back on shore. And they'll say, is this a part of a U.S. court order? And then if you say, yes, it is, they will say, well, we can't comply with that, right? It's so that's the magic of it, right? Because your client is complying with U.S. law, so that but their hands are tied.
Exactly. So we will always have our clients answer any question asked by the court honestly, and number two, comply with any U.S. court order. So you have the Cook Islands Trust set up. If you want money just in your regular day-to-day life, you request it from the trustee. They'll wire you $25,000 or $100,000, or they'll pay the money directly to your children's school, or they'll pay your credit card bill. You just live off your credit card. They'll pay your bill each month. Somebody gets a judgment against you, they're going to discover the trust. This concept of hiding assets is not a real thing. You can protect your assets, but you can't hide them, because a court can always ask you to complete a financial affidavit. And if you don't honestly report an asset, and that's how you end up in jail. So you report that you have the trust. The court may order you to request a distribution. And just as you said, you're going to comply with the court order. Trustee, send me $100,000. They would then telephone the client, telephone the attorney, and say, was this made under court order? And you'll honestly answer, yes, it was. The trustee would deny the request. Otherwise, pretty much anytime you request money from the trustee, you'll be able to get it.
Got it. Okay, so you can't hide assets, but you can protect assets. I think that's a important distinction, because that's what my attorney friend Matt Sandiford, that's what he says too. He's like you can't hide it. Like, I'm going to find out that you have it, but
correct.
Whether they can get that money out is another story, because this is protected.
Exactly. I mean, you can take cash and put it into a mason jar and bury it in your backyard and hide it. But if you're asked about it, you're going to have to disclose it or risk getting in trouble.
Got it. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And I think you mentioned that all this stuff sort of protects liquid assets. So that's how it works with cryptocurrency as well, because cryptocurrency seems to be all the rage these days.
Yeah, cryptocurrency, very, very easy to assign to your trust, and then it'll be protected. And we've done that for a few clients as well.
Got it. Okay. Do they have like hardware wallets and stuff? So you just, you buy your money on Coinbase and just send it to that wallet, and is that how that works?
Lots of different options in that regard. In some cases, if the threat is not imminent, the trustee can even turn around and hire our client to be the custodian of their crypto. If the threat is too close, then the trustee, or we'll even have one of the Swiss banks hold the crypto in a hardware in a cold storage wallet.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, this is fascinating. So you also have an office in Denver. I think we talked about that offline a little bit. That's a little bit closer to my neck of the woods. How often do you make it back out to Colorado?
So I'm originally from Florida, undergraduate in law school at the University of Florida Gators, and then moved out to Colorado, where I spent about 10 years in the Denver area. It was just about a year ago that I moved to South Beach. The COVID, it allowed me to kind of keep my current clients and still service them while starting to build the practice down here as well. But for Cook Islands Trust, we work with clients nationwide, so it really doesn't make any difference there. How often do I make it back to Denver? Few days a month. However, during the winter time, that's a little bit less often, and during the summertime, it's a little bit more often. I'm originally from Jacksonville, Florida, and I like the warm weather. Plus, I've got all of my family up in North Florida as well. So this is my preferred place. But I love Denver. I've got a few good friends there. I've got my office, and most of my team still works out of the Denver office. Like the mountains, but spending the majority of my time nowadays here in South Florida.
Got it. Okay. So you work with clients all over the country. So you don't have to have like your was it your bar certification in every state, or do you have your certification in every state?
So I'm licensed in both Florida and Colorado.
Okay.
And for matters that my firm handles, some probate matters after somebody passes away, filing paperwork to receive your parents' money or fight over your parents' money. My firm will do in Florida and in Colorado. For the simple basic estate planning, we'll do Florida and Colorado. But for Cook Islands Trust, that's based on international law. So I can do that for clients worldwide.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. Now in our chat on Instagram, you mentioned that you were divorced 4 years ago. Now, without getting into too many details about that, did you have assets in the Cook Islands Trust, and did that help you?
The marriage ended 4 years ago, very amicably. No, I was at the time not. I did not have that, and fortunately would not have. It would not have made much of a difference, because we were able to reach a very happy settlement without either of us even hiring attorneys. There was no fighting over assets. I mean, there was a few discussions, but we reached something that was able to allow us to avoid needing to spend a bunch of money on attorneys and fight over anything. And the same thing with the child custody. We were able to just reach an agreement without going through attorneys. So whether it's your spouse or soon to be former spouse or family members in general, having good relationships with those who you share money with is very, very valuable. I mean, that's even more valuable than a Cook Islands Trust.
Yeah. Who was it that said? I think it was Jordan Peterson said, if you're going to like be getting married to someone, you should be getting married to someone that you can negotiate with. Which I was like, yeah, I mean, you should. However, and you would think that you can, right? I mean, because I've been married and divorced, and the person that you're getting married to is not the same person that you're divorcing most often, right? So like when you're getting married, you guys are like, rose-colored glasses, Twitter painted in love. But when the divorce happens, man, that's when the knives come out, a lot of times, and that's unfortunate.
It's not my situation, but a friend of mine repeated the line, "You never meet a woman until you meet her in court."
I would say that's. I mean, I would say, my divorce, I feel like went smoother than most. But periodically, she'll take me back to court to try to get a little bit extra child support out of me. Just it's really more of a nuisance than anything else. But otherwise, like if you take money to the side, like just getting the child custody stuff and working that out, like was not that hard. She's more concerned about money.
Yeah, that happens.
So you told me that at one point you hired a $10,000 female matchmaker. What was that experience like? Was that right after your divorce?
No, it was, so I'm going to come up with the name Mary. I'm not going to say her name, but let's say Mary was the matchmaker. I was referred to Mary by a good friend, an acquaintance, a friend who I trust. He didn't use her for matchmaking. He used her for some consulting. I spoke with her shortly after my divorce, and she said to me, Blake, you're not in a position that I'm comfortable introducing you to anyone. And I agree. 2 months after my 7-year divorce, I really was not ready to start dating. A few years pass. I work on my business. I get in better health. I just get in better mental state in so many ways. I work out some other family issues that I need to work through. And I contacted her about a year ago. And at the time, TikTok was blowing up. My business was super busy, and I could find dates through the dating apps or just approaching women, but the dating apps take a lot of time. And I figured, play to my strengths. I could be doing work for clients as opposed to swiping through so many people, and then also not having to deal with showing up to dates where the girls don't look like their photos, or there's some other issue that would not make it work, and filtering out bad dates and filtering out bad use of time. But it was not a good experience. It was not a good experience because I was being introduced to women who I did not find attractive. I make great efforts. It's a very big part of my life to stay very healthy and stay very active. I go to the farmer's market every week. I cook frequently. I do a couple hours of stretching and swimming every single morning. And then to be continually presented with matches of women who don't take care of their health. And I think that's a nice way of communicating it. Was kind of terrible. After about 5 months of just not being interested in, and I was being presented with pictures without pictures of a face. Anybody who's been on a dating app for a few months is going to tell you, if you only see the face picture, you don't want to see the body. So finally, there was one who was the right look for me, and not a good match. She was probably an alcoholic. I'm not much of a drinker myself, but I could say other negative things about this one day, but I don't need to dig into too much. And after a while, I finally said, "Hey, it's not working out. Can we terminate the contract?" And basically, I was told, "Yes, we're terminating the contract, but you're basically not going to get any money back." And I assumed, and I didn't want to. The way the contract read, it was kind of vague. If I turned down 3 matches, that counted as one of the dates. I was supposed to be guaranteed 6 dates. I got one out of the deal, and it was supposed to save me time. It was a lot of time, like hearing about these dates, and then and it was very intrusive. Which, like, I really opened up to this person because you're finding me a relationship, and I feel like I just shared a lot of information with someone. And then also, when you get set up on the date, I kind of feel like it made me even seem, and I know myself, I'm a nerd, I'm a cool nerd, but it made me seem even nerdier that I would have to pay to go on a date, to go on a date with someone. Would I ever do it again? Maybe. I mean, and maybe a few years, give some, I want that to pass and really be behind me, give me some time to process it. But if I ever hired another matchmaker, it would be a man, because I had trouble being authentic with her about how I felt about some of the women. I kind of was sugarcoating some things. And if I was talking to a guy, I could just be more myself. And it's going to be a man in a relationship, in a long-term relationship with a very beautiful woman. Show me that he can actually surround himself with beautiful women. Mary herself was a person who I would not say was in good health, and she was introducing me or trying to set me up with other women not in good health as well.
But those women, they probably had really nice personalities, though, man.
I mean, I mean, I mean, the whole thing is, I will say, it's not just about the look, but there's a minimum requirement.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, no, for sure. So you think your money would have been better spent with a male matchmaker or even a male dating coach, you think?
Paul, my money would have been better spent at a strip club. My money would have been better spent walking along South Beach, just throwing it up in the air, burning it. I could go on and on with lists of things that it would be better. It would have been better spent investing in my business. It would have been better spent just taking a trip and taking some cool pictures for my dating profile. So many different ways. I forgot what you said. Would have been better spent with a man, or maybe a very beautiful woman who attracts people of similar energy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they do say that you shouldn't ask a fish how to catch fish. You know?
Yeah, I heard that from you after I hired the matchmaker, right around the time that me and the matchmaker were breaking up, and so it's something that honestly I was a little embarrassed by, but it's something that, but I own my mistakes, and you learn from them, and kind of it taught me a few lessons, but yeah, it was not a great experience.
Yeah,
and I don't have much trouble finding women to go on dates with. I mean, I can get one or more date per week with a beautiful woman. It's nice being in South Beach, and as I've mentioned, I cold approach women all the time on the streets and on the beach. But I wanted a woman who I knew was not into cigarettes or vaping or cocaine usage or excessive drinking. And I wanted a woman who's okay with me having kids, and okay with me needing to focus on work a bit, and okay with me consuming pot sometimes. And if I could find a beautiful woman I was okay with her baggage, and she was okay with my baggage, that I would pay $1,000, $2,000 to go on a date with. But it was, but that's not what the experience was.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, sometimes you just need an experience like that just to learn from it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I would say
it's kind of like an itch I had, and I scratched it, and I can say, well, at least I tried it, and I'm 36 right now. We'll see. Sometime may reconsider. I'm still on the market in my 40s.
Got it. Yeah. Now in your messages on Instagram, you said you're not blue pill, but you're more of a take 2 red pills and snort the third kind of guy.
And then added the line of my days of snorting things are behind me, but
yeah. Well, that's a metaphor anyway. But so a lot of us in the space were blue pill at one point. I think with our society the way it is, I think most of us are raised with a blue pill mindset when it comes to relationships and love and stuff like that. But and like the concept of the red pill is like, you're waking up to reality, right? So what red pilled you? What
red pilled me? I mean, the first thing that kind of comes to my mind is I had a pretty brutal upbringing, and it really taught me to sort through the bullshit very well and focus on and learn what not to focus my attention on, and really to focus my attention, really value the things that are important. And through life, I've made bold decisions. I married at a very young age. I wasn't really.
How old are you when you got married?
So I was 25, but I was also right out of law school. So I had gone college, law school. I'd never really been an independent man on my own. Maybe if I graduated high school and had 7 years of working on my own before marriage, but I was right out of law school. And through college and law school, I was a party boy, then there was plenty going up my nose, plenty of whiskey going down my throat every night, and started dating a woman who's a few years older than me, and very good, very responsible, very beautiful. But God sent her to me, or the universe sent her to me very much to calm me down. And along with that, my 2 children were delivered as well, to make sure that I don't go over the deep, to go over the deep end. And as the children got older and got out of diapers, I really realized that I made a big mistake, or what seemed like a big mistake, marrying somebody who you didn't want to spend forever with. And it was a tough decision to pull out of a marriage, and to know that you're not going to have your kids there as much as you do. I mean, the kids are beautiful, wonderful, healthy. I could not possibly ask for better children. But I knew I needed to do it, and I just kind of took the red pill and asked for the divorce about 4 years ago. And so with that, I'm thankful. I'm certainly thankful I did it. I don't regret it. Children, their mother, they're all in a great position right now. I'm not going to go too much into detail in that. And then the next couple of years, the first year out was rough. I was in a position where I was in a place where I really didn't have too many friends. I had a lot of time to kind of reflect on myself. I started hitting the gym. I've always been thin, but I finally started building muscle. And with that kind of came a mentality change. And with that, I really had time to focus and grow my business. I got back. I started dating, but I never slipped back into the destructive party days that were Blake back in law school. And then with that, I just kind of having my own business. I think this is common of business owners. You have this liberty to kind of say whatever the fuck you want to say. I'm not worried that I'm going to say something that's going to offend somebody or piss somebody off. The people who are in my life are there because I want them in my life. And my close circle, friends, family, my employees, they all know who I am and how I feel about everything. And sure, they don't agree with me on everything, but I'm totally myself around all the people I keep around. And with that, it kind of creates this mentality where I continue to be more and more that way. And when I meet somebody new, it turns off a lot of people. And that's great. Fuck them. I'd rather find out early in the relationship that they're not supposed to be around than later in the relationship. But it turns a lot of people on. A lot of guys, a lot of women are attracted to that energy where you're comfortable putting yourself out there and not really care if somebody likes what you have to say.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Tell me a little bit about the bachelor life as an attorney in Miami. I mean, there's so many hot women in Miami, and I imagine you do pretty well then as like a wealthy attorney that owns his own firm. Well,
I'll let the crowd assume wealthy. I'm not going to dig into that. But
that's all subjective anyway, right?
That's all subjective anyways. And as I tell my clients, don't flash your wealth. So it depends who's asking on that.
Sure.
But yeah, I was after the divorce, I spent about 3 years out in Denver, Colorado, then moved to South Beach a year ago. And in the first 3 months of being in South Beach, I went out with more beautiful women than I did in the entire three years in Denver. So yes, lots of beautiful women I have been out with. Lots of 10,000 plus followers on Instagram, which doesn't necessarily equate to beauty, but there's probably some correlation there. I mean, models, former models, and it's been a ton of fun. I'm also a very authentic person, and some of the model mindset does not really click real well with my authentic nerdy personality. So haven't had any real serious relationship since I've been here. Whereas when I was in Denver for a few years, there were a couple of medium term girlfriends. But lots of beautiful women around here. And one of the things that I got myself to do, I started doing this in Denver when I really didn't know many people at all. It's just cold approaching. And I don't know if you talk about this much, but it's something that I went online, and there's a YouTuber, Cody Strong. His channel is Angry Picnic, and he does a lot of approaching women. Mm-hmm. And I watched hours of his videos, and then I started doing it. And like anything, you get better at it over time. At first, I was pretty clunky about it, and I admittedly made a handful of women uncomfortable. As the time has gone on, it has become what I consider to be a superpower, something that I've always dreamed of, the ability to see a beautiful woman and just go talk to them right then on the spot. And if the situation is appropriate, I will almost always do it. The question I get asked often is, what is your opening line? And mm-hmm. as an attorney, the answer is, well, it depends on the situation. But the most common opening line that I will use is simply hello. I'll see a girl, I'll walk up next to them, and I'll just say hello. And you're going to get one of two reactions. Either they're going to look at you and smile and say hello, and then I'll continue the conversation from there, or they'll kind of like look away, or they'll say hi real quick and look down. If they're not interested, no harm. Mm-hmm. If they are interested, or sometimes you comment, nice shoes, where'd you get that bag? And then I get to the point pretty quickly, and I'll just say, are you single, or can I get your phone number? And sometimes I'll even have fun with it, and I'll just, if a girl's kind of like walking towards me, you have to stop them and just say, hey, can I get directions? I'm trying to figure out how to, and you got to really own it and, really believe in it. Be your boyfriend, or get your number. I would say it's a pretty good rate that I have right now, where it's maybe 40% of women will give me either their phone number or their Instagram, of which maybe 10% of those will actually meet up for coffee or a drink another time. But the ones who don't, usually their line is I have a boyfriend, to which the gentleman response is, well, all the beautiful ones are taken. And it makes the girls feel good, and it makes you feel good that you cleared all doubt that your soulmate you can just let walk by. And it's something that I would encourage every single guy to do. And you don't have to be the best looking and the smartest and the best looking guy to do it. Simply having the confidence to do it is a turn on for me. I did it a few days ago to another very beautiful woman I saw on the beach. She was with her friend, and when somebody's with their friend, my line is usually, I just want to tell both of you, you two are both very beautiful. Introduce myself, hi Jackie, hi Megan, but Megan, you're just my type. So when they're with a friend, you want to acknowledge and be kind to the friend as well. But it's something that I've been doing for a few years. And the more I do it, the easier it becomes. The more I have fun with it, and the more that I just like. And when I don't do it, I have this regret of I should have done it. Now, of course, you want to make sure the situation is appropriate. You don't do it if they're out with somebody else. You don't want to do it necessarily at night if it's not an easily escapable situation. It's been a very helpful tool in meeting meeting women. I have gotten dates and maybe some more fun from it than that. I've met a couple of friends that way as well. Two of my closest female friends I met just with approaching them. So it's great to be surrounded by beautiful women, whether you're dating them or their friends. I'm not opposed to being friends with beautiful women. I don't know if you're anti-friends with women, but I seem to think it's beneficial.
Yeah, my personal, I used to be like, what's the benefit of having female friends? But I had a couple of dating coach friends of mine say, well, honestly, if you have good female friends, they can make really great wingmen. And it also gives you a little bit of extra social proof when you're going out picking up chicks at the bar. So I'm like, okay, well, there you go.
Maybe introduce you to their friends.
Yeah.
I mean, and they'll give you advice as well. Whether you should be taking advice from a fish is something different. I mean, and they're not costing you. They're not costing you anything, or nothing significant. And when I date other girls, I mention that I have female friends. I mean, I mentioned I have guy friends as well, but I mentioned I have a couple female friends as well, and it does make them a little bit more attentive, a little bit more. Oh, he's got other options, and
Yeah.
I don't play. I'm not big into playing games. I'm not intentionally messing with their heads, but it does get people to. It does get women to like, oh, I need to keep an eye on this.
It gets the hamster wheel running. You don't really have to play a lot of games. You just need to be big and let them run the game on themselves, you know?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I don't want to play the game, but if the game goes on in someone else's mind, that's not my fault.
Right, exactly. Let me ask you a question about cold approach. A lot of guys are deathly afraid of approaching women in public because of the whole Me Too situation. They're like, oh, women don't want to be approached anymore. And I think that's nonsense. A lot of women are begging to be approached. It's all about how you do it, because some guys come across as super creepy, and it's like, yeah, bro, like maybe work on how you're doing it, but
it's how you do it. I mean, make sure that you're in the mental mindset. Make sure that you look nice. You don't need to look fancy, but don't look like trash. And yeah, a lot of men have become giant pussies. I don't know if I can say this on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's been a total feminining of men, which makes it all that much better for the men who are willing to do it. And that's another thing. Swallow your pride. I mean, I told you about the brutal childhood, and I got picked on plenty growing up, to the point that people can say shit to me and it does not upset me. I can get rejected time after time, and it does not bother me. The adversity that I went through, I'm very thankful for. But if you're a single guy, go out there and I mean, watch some videos on it, read some books on it if it makes you feel better. There was that book, The Game, from years ago that talks about approaching women. But go and do it and screw up a few times, but you're going to get yourself over the fear of being rejected. And yes, you are going to get rejected sometimes, but you're going to hit gold sometimes, and that's going to be the hit that keeps you going. I mean, just think, and it also makes for a much better story long run if you can say, where did you meet? I saw her walking down the street and I just couldn't help but go up and say hello, than opposed to, I was too afraid. I was sitting at home with a bottle of lube and a dating app.
Bottle of lube and a dating app. I don't have too many other questions for you. Let me ask you, where can people find you online?
Well, glad you asked. Blake Harris Law TikTok, Blake Harris Law Instagram, Blake Harris Law on Twitter. If you are interested in talking business, BlakeHarrisLaw.com. My phone number is 833-ASK-BLAKE. And if you have any questions about protecting your money, I'm more than happy to chat. We always do a free consultation to start the process. And so TikTok is kind of my main platform. If you just want to chat it up about anything else, DM on Instagram is great.
All right, sounds good. Well, I really appreciate it, Blake. Keep in contact, man. And thanks for joining me today.
Hey, this was fun, Paul. You have a great one.
All right, you too.
Take care. Bye.
Blake, thanks for taking the time to join me today. Your story was fascinating. Thanks for teaching us about offshore trusts, Cook Island trusts. I mean, I think for the average guy who doesn't have millions of dollars worth of assets, clearly it's not worth it to go through all that trouble to try to hide your assets from your ex-wife. Really, and I will die on this hill. Just don't get married. There's no benefit for men to get married anymore. and if you don't get married, you don't have to worry about hiding your assets in fucking Cook Islands trusts. Come on, guys, keep things simple. I know. Society tells us we need to get married. You know what? Society can eat a bag of dicks because it's not worth it. Not if you're a man. Sorry, guys. Just have good, solid relationships. Have long-term relationships with women, but don't get the state involved in your love life. It's just a recipe for disaster, and you have to hire expensive attorneys to protect your shit. Just don't do it. All right. Thanks again, Blake. Guys, we will see you next week.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. New full episodes served hot every Monday morning on your favorite podcast platform of choice. So subscribe now. Follow Paul on social media. The links are in the description. Now, go out and get it.